If you want to find an excuse, there's always going to be one. And when it comes to life, and only you know what it is that you're fighting, and only you know what battle it is that you're battling. Guys, remember, right? You have to not just play defense, but you have to play offense. Offense and defense, right? And defense in this scenario, right? I had to be on the defense knowing, what is this? What is keeping me here? I need to defend myself. I need to put on the armor of God. I need to know that I need to defend myself from something that is trying to take me down. Hello, everyone. Micah Smith here. I am back with another episode of Rebuild and Rise. I have a very inspiring show for all of you today. And actually, so I'm going to just dive right in. So yesterday, I went to Newark, New Jersey. I ended up going to an event. It was called Life Surge. And I saw the lineup of people that were gonna be at this event, and I was like, I have to be there. So some of my favorite people on the planet. So Ed Milet was there, John Maxwell was there, a couple of other amazing people who I had never heard speak before. And my, oh my, what a gift. And I wanted to talk about something that made a very big impact on me, and I know it's going to have a very big impact on you. And it actually came from John Maxwell. And John Maxwell, he actually talked about having a return on your failure. How do we get a return on our failure? We always talk about a return on investment, but we don't talk about how to get a return on failure. And one of the first things that he talked about was keeping success and failure closer together. And he talks about the importance of this. And I actually talked to my team about this as well. And here's why. So, in life, success and failure should be kept close together because of this. When you win and your success is kept close to your failure, it keeps you humble, right? In the Bible, it talks a lot about how pride comes before a fall. And what I appreciate so much about what God has done in my life is that He keeps me humble. I don't get into a place of, wow, what an amazing success. I did that. I keep my successes very close to my failures, and I fail every day, multiple times a day. I will be honest with you, but it's because I'm trying new things constantly, and it's also because I'm human. And when we fail, but we keep success close by, it's because it's the importance is that the failure doesn't seem so bad. It doesn't seem so daunting because we realize that we are also very capable individuals. So the importance of keeping the two close together, you don't ever want to get too high and you don't ever want to get too low, which actually kind of reminds me a little bit of my husband because he's always so even keel. But being in that place, right, will actually make it so you're going to get a bigger return on your failure. So the big thing that he spoke about yesterday is he spoke about understanding the difference between a good miss and a bad miss. And I think that delineating between the two is difficult unless you're really given this blueprint as far as how to actually delineate between the two. And so he had talked about having a bad miss. And a bad miss essentially is going to get you further away from whatever the goal might be. And when you miss the mark, you actually have nothing but excuses for why you're failing. And coaching my team and coaching clients, you see the vast difference between someone who you can tell is clearly going to be more successful because you can tell that they're willing to take accountability. That's actually one of our core values at Micah Abigail, my credit firm. So a bad miss is going to be someone that they get further and further away from their goal and they have an excuse every single time as to why they've missed it. And you know who these types of people are, right? Maybe they're late everywhere they go, and there's always a reason as to why they're late. And it's never their fault. Or maybe someone has a goal to lose some weight, or maybe they have a goal to maybe save more money, or maybe they have a goal to be better at their job. But they always have an excuse as to why they haven't hit it or why they haven't gotten there. And I'm going to actually talk about something very personal of my own. And actually, I wasn't even planning on talking about this today, but I wanted to talk about something very personal. So I'm very open about my sobriety. I'm coming up on 6 years sober. And I, for about 15 years, struggled with alcoholism and why things weren't going my way. And I always had an excuse. And excuses sound really great to the one making them. And the interesting thing that John Maxwell said yesterday that applies to my situation that kept me stuck and kept me sick is when he talked about excuses. He said, your worst excuse is going to be your best excuse. And you never achieve what you could have because you actually believe your own excuse. And that was me. I was that person who kept believing my own excuses. And you know what that did is it kept me sick and it kept me stuck. And it was something where no amount of pain that I experienced was enough to shake me to my core, to get me to stop believing my own excuses. Essentially, I lied to myself so well that it was impacting my future. And someone like me with such a strong personality, if someone like me, right, has the capability of lying to themselves and believing themselves to such a great depth, right? But getting out of it, if I can do something like that, if I can lie to myself at such a strong magnitude and get out of it and move away from it and make better choices, you sure as heck can too. And this doesn't just apply to alcoholism, guys. This applies to everything. If there's something in your life that you're seeing an outcome that is dissatisfactory and it's not in alignment with what your goals are, you need to stop making excuses. And guys, I know that this is like, this is not meant to be rah, 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 like stop making excuses and blah, blah, and just, do it, do it, do it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to have a moment where you get honest with yourself and you say, enough is enough. Guys, like one day, it was just by the grace of God, like one day, I just looked at myself and I was like, enough, enough. I had that tough conversation with myself and I was like, enough. You're done, Micah. You're done. And I said, do you want to have the life that you've always wanted, you've always dreamed of? Because guess what? You've got your dream guy sitting right here, right in front of you, but you're going to lose him and everything you love if you do not stop with these habits that are killing you and everyone around you. And at that moment, by the grace of God, I actually said, I don't want to do this anymore. And I decided I was not going to make an excuse as to why I wasn't getting the life that I was truly capable of having. Because guess what? That life that I was capable of having was on the other side of that choice. And I've never really spoken about the pain that I had to endure to actually become sober. My tolerance was so high, I could walk around with a blood alcohol level of 0.4 and be walking, talking, and you wouldn't even know that I had alcohol in my system. Terrifying. Terrifying. I was a phenomenon. I went to the doctors to try to help me sober up, and they were like, "How are you walking and talking?" And I remember these conversations plain as day. 0.4 blood alcohol level. I should be dead. But God had other plans for me. But part of the plan was me not making excuses anymore. And guys, like yesterday when I was at this event and Ed Milet was talking, right? He is someone that I just love and revere and respect so much. Guys, again, you are qualified to help the people you used to be. I used to be the person who made the excuse. This is why my life isn't where it is, where I want it to be. This is why, this is why, this is why. Oh, it's because I'm hanging around the wrong people. Oh, it's because I'm just really stressed. Oh, I just work really, really, really hard, so I need a stronger outlet. Oh, it's just because, I'm lonely. Oh, it's just because I just got a little out of control because I'm just too fun, or it's everybody else and not me. There's always an excuse, or oh, I'm upset and I'm drinking because I'm upset, or I'm drinking because I'm happy. I'm drinking because I'm stressed. There's always an excuse if you want to find one. If you want to find an excuse, there's always going to be one. And when it comes to life, and only you know what it is that you're fighting, and only you know what battle it is that you're battling. Guys, remember, right? You have to not just play defense, but you have to play offense. Offense and defense, right? And defense in this scenario, right? I had to be on the defense knowing, what is this? What is keeping me here? I need to defend myself. I need to put on the armor of God. I need to know that I need to defend myself from something that is trying to take me down. Because essentially, guys, that's what it was. It was the enemy trying to take me down because the enemy knew that I had something special. I had something great. And I was meant to share it with the world. And that one thing was holding me back. Guys, me drinking when I wasn't supposed to be drinking, guess what it did to my confidence? Every single time I picked up a drink, a little piece of my confidence would erode. And there was a reason I wasn't able to attract and keep a man like the husband that I have today, because I wasn't confident enough to be able to keep someone like that. There's a reason I wasn't able to run a business or even have the audacity to go out and put my foot forward and say, I'm going to run and I'm going to own and operate a business in the state of New York. Because I didn't have the confidence yet, because I hadn't made the choice to stop making excuses. But guess what? The moment I stopped making excuses is the moment my life changed drastically, right? My business took off, flourished. I stand before you, a successful businesswoman with an amazing team of people. I stand before you, a happily married woman with an amazing husband and an amazing home life. But it comes from stopping and saying no more excuses. I stand before you, a woman with a 500 credit score, with over 800 credit score, because I stopped making excuses. What excuse are you holding on to today that is keeping you stuck, that's keeping you broke, that's keeping you lonely? What excuse is keeping you back? That's what I want to ask of all of you today. So when he had spoken about the badness, right, he was said, you move further away, you make the excuses, and he says that you cannot go from excuses to success. Versus the good miss, right? So now I want to talk about the good miss, right? So the good miss is, right, we have a goal, and a good miss is, okay, so maybe we didn't get the outcome that we wanted. So instead of making an excuse, you adjust. That's all you do. You adjust. And these types of people. And again, this comes down to accountability. And right before I got here, I was listening to, again, John Maxwell. John Maxwell is one of my favorite people on the planet. If you don't know who John Maxwell is, you need to pick up his books. He's at, I believe, 97 books, if I'm not mistaken. You need to pick up his books and just start, because they are such valuable life lessons that he teaches. But what I was listening to before I got here was the importance of accountability. And again, this is actually one of our core values at Mike Abigail. And I have had the privilege and the pressure of growing and building a team. And as we continue to scale, I have to have very tough conversations with my team members. And I course correct with my team members. And you see the ones who are going to be successful, and then you see the ones who are not going to be successful. And again, it's the ones who are willing to accept the critiquing, they apply it, and they change and they course correct. And so when you have people that care about you, love will course correct. Love always does. And I lead with love. And so a good miss is going to be something where it's like you have a goal, you have a goal, you have a goal. But let's face it, we're human, we make mistakes. And if you have people around you that care about you, they're going to help you try to course correct. And you need to be very, very, very focused on doing that deep introspection, and you need to look at yourself and say, okay, I need to move this direction. And yesterday, and I've said it on my podcast before, but Portia Nelson, she's got this amazing autobiography. I've talked about it before, but essentially she talks about life. And basically, so I'm going to skip, it's 5 chapters, but it talks about life. And basically, people go down a certain path and they continue to make mistakes, So the first 4 chapters are mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake until finally the 5th chapter. So instead of going down path number 1, you go down path number 2. So you just choose a different path. And ultimately, that's what we are talking about when we're saying a good miss. A good miss means, okay, I got to go down a different path, which means if you're habitually late, well, now you course correct. And now all of a sudden you just decide to get everywhere 15 minutes early. So you decide to implement a new habit into your life. Maybe that means, you wake up a half an hour earlier every single day. Maybe you leave a half an hour earlier than you normally do. You aim to get somewhere 15 minutes early instead of right on time. Right. There's things that we can do, but you have to make an adjustment. And I love what he spoke about yesterday. And he said, you don't know if a miss is a bad miss or a good miss by the actual failure itself. You know if it's a bad or a good miss based on your response. And this is something that I look at. I look at all of our customers in our credit repair program, right? We know if it's a good miss or a bad miss based off of your response. We know a good client from a bad client all day, every day, based off of how receptive they are to our education and our instruction. We are looking to disqualify clients every single phone call that we are on with them, because if they are not receptive to education, if they're not receptive to course correction, it's not a good fit for our program. And we actually understand the difference between a good dollar and a bad dollar, and a good client and a bad client. A bad client and a bad dollar is someone who is not receptive to course correction. We don't want those types of people in our program, because guess what? They're not going to value anything that we value. We value, our core values are education and course correction and accountability. If they don't have that ability to say, hey, okay, I did this, but I'm going to do this, and right, we want those types of people around us versus the other people who are unwilling to take accountability. The only bad reviews we've ever had in our firm are from people who refuse to take accountability. And so now, right, in order to make sure that we spend the most amount of time with the right people, we always assess if they have that ability to take accountability, right? And so you're never going to know by the actual failure itself. You're going to know by your actual response. And I want you to remember that the next time that you fail at something. What is your response to the situation? Because you're going to fail every single day. And I want you to know something. You are always going to be tested. New levels, new devils. You are constantly going to be tested. And if you fail the test, right? Okay, then maybe you need to learn the lesson again. But remember, you have to choose your response accordingly. That is up to you. How you decide to respond to course correction, that's going to be on you. The other thing I want to talk about that he had spoken about yesterday is embracing the hard. embracing the hard, embracing the challenges. And actually, I was listening to somebody else speak the other day, and I thought it was so invaluable because just this constant reminder that life is challenging. And it's so important to remember that everything great in life is uphill. And what I am seeing in my lifetime is I am seeing the amount of people that are quitting, and they are quitting way too early, right when they began, before they really even began. They're so self-defeated. And we have to prime ourselves and train ourselves to continue and to press on in times of difficulty. And once you embrace the fact that life is difficult, it actually becomes a lot less difficult. I love yesterday, John Maxwell had said, we have uphill hopes, but we have downhill habits. What does that mean to you? Well, I can tell you what it means to me. I want to build a business that impacts millions of people's lives. This is a big dream that can only be accomplished with God by my side. But it's not just that. I have to have the right habits in place. If you want to do something big, you have to have big action, big and great habits. Great things never happen easily, and they don't happen overnight. This is something that we talk about with our credit repair clients. This is something I know personally as a human. Anything in life that I've ever accomplished, growing my company, having a wonderful marriage, having wonderful friendships, having an amazing physique. This is all stuff that requires extreme discipline and amazing habits. Habits that continue to compound upon themselves. You wake up early, you have a good routine, you take care of your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health. Everything that I do, I have an understanding now that if I have these uphill hopes, I have to have habits that match. They cannot conflict, right? If you have uphill hopes, right, and downhill habits, they're never going to meet. They're never going to meet. The worlds will never collide. You're simply just going to have hopes, and that's it. And I want everyone here to have real hope, right? Hope deferred in the Bible says makes a man's heart sick. So if you don't want to have hopes that just really have no opportunity of ever becoming anything real, then you need to have great habits. So I wanted to just end on something that really made us all laugh yesterday with John Maxwell. And I'm going to emulate him because it was so funny and it's too good not to share. And he said, it's like nobody ever gets to the top of a mountain and says, "Oh, look at that. Huh, that's interesting. Huh, got to the top of a mountain here and no idea how I got here. Huh, I don't know." It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You got to the top of the mountain, and you know how you got there. You freaking climbed to the top of the mountain. You climbed, and it was really freaking hard. And that's a fact. So stop trying to hope that you get to a top of a mountain, because you're not going to hope your way to the top of a mountain. You're going to climb your way to the top of a mountain. With that being said, guys, I am so excited that I was able to share this podcast with you. I hope that you enjoyed it. If this is something that you think a friend or a family member or someone that you love would also benefit from hearing, please share it with them. Guys, I'm Micah Smith. I am the host of Rebuild and Rise. God bless.